Welcome to Talking Mopars, episode number 129. This is a replay of the Saturday Night Live episode that I recorded with Jonny Mopar and Jeremy Williams from Sorta Stock Mopars. Jeremy even brought his friend David along, who's also a co-pilot, and we also had another special guest, Chris Field from Motech, and also the new owner of Schumacher Creative Services. This episode was talking all about their $3,000 Hooptie Build Off that Sorta Stock Mopars challenged Jonny Mopar to. It was a fun episode talking about the challenge and talking about their cars, and we had a good time as usual. So, without further ado, if you are a Mopar enthusiast, then you are in the right place. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned into the best Mopar enthusiast-driven podcast on planet Earth. And I am your host, Chris Albrecht, better known as the Mopar Hunter, and this is Talking Mopars Live.
You're listening to Talking Mopars with the Mopar Hunter, your direct connection to all things Mopar.
Before we get into the juicy meat of this episode, I have to ask you guys a question. Is your Mopar protected? Whether it's sitting outside in the elements or inside the safe confines of your man cave, it's important to keep your Mopar protected. That's why I'm excited to announce that I'm now affiliated with a company offering an amazing solution for vehicle protection. They have everything from basic indoor shields all the way to the top-of-the-line platinum shields, offering the very best protection to keep your vehicle safe both indoors and outdoors from elements like dust, water, snow, and even UV rays. Their products are guaranteed to fit and are backed by a great warranty. To find out more about my new affiliate, please visit TalkingMopars.com, click on the Affiliates tab, and follow the link to their website. If you need protection for your Mopar, don't worry, we got you covered. What's up, everybody? We are here live for a Saturday Night Live talking to Jonny Mopar and Jeremy Williams from the Sorta Stock Mopars YouTube and Facebook page. They have a fun little drag race challenge that they're doing, and we're here to talk all about it. Jonny will be in the chat in just a minute. Just wanted to give some people some time to roll in. Hope you all are doing well on this Saturday night. Here's Jonny. Let's get Jonny in here. Ready, Jonny? Here we go.
What's going on, Chris? How are you?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. So while we wait for Jeremy, why don't you give the audience a little idea of what this $3,000 Hooptie challenge is all about?
All right. So Jeremy actually reached out to me and said, and he actually lives he lives in San Diego. So he lives about a little more than an hour away from me. And he basically hit me up and said, hey, I got this idea for a $3,000, dollar build for, to do this drag race competition. So basically we have a budget of $3,000, and the idea is that we are to buy and build a car in 3 months' time and then race each other at Verona Drag Strip. So when he originally made that proposal, his idea was like, we didn't actually have cars. And so I really liked the idea, but we actually already had a car that kind of fit the bill. And so I told him, I said, well, I'm down. I don't really have the budget to do, to start some new build from scratch. And this car that we already have, it's already a Hooptie, and we paid $1,000 for it. We already did some work to it. And so we kind of went back and forth and decided, because there was a lot of, I was already planning to put a 383 in that club car that we had all pitched in and bought for $1,000. And all the guys basically pitched in like extra parts they had laying around. So we assembled all these parts, and we were planning on building it. It's been dragging ass. The whole project's been dragging ass, but since we already got free parts, what we ended up doing is we asked our viewers to basically determine the value of these parts. If they were to see these parts, say at a swap meet as a used part, what would they pay for it? And I took everybody's comments and basically averaged them out, and then that was the dollar amount. So then we would have to subtract that from our budget. So our budget started at $3,000. in our case, we already used $1,000 to buy the car, so we had $2,000 left. And then we went through like, what's a 383 short block worth? Used camshaft, intake manifold, headers, blah 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 blah. So
that's 3 months and $3,000. That's pretty tight. That's pretty tight.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that his car is a '69 Dodge Dart convertible, and it's actually got a GTS hood on it, so it looks like a GTS. But he caught a lot of flack on social media because people were like, "Yeah, right. Where are you going to find a convertible Dart for $3,000? Like, really, you know?"
I mean, all you have to do is provide a bill of sale, I guess, if you wanted to really get technical. I think you could take somebody's word on it. I would hope. I mean, it'd be kind of shady if he was lying about it. Spend $10,000 on the car, but it's like if you were going to spend that much money, you'd probably get a better platform, I would imagine. But I don't know. It sounds like a fun challenge. Here I am complaining about how much time I have for No Name Nationals, and Johnny's building a car in 3 months.
Well, the beauty of this car is that this car is already a running, driving car. So all we have to do now, I have no idea if the transmission's going to work out, if the engine's going to work out. I mean, this could all go sideways like real quick once we get into the 383. So drivetrain wise, anything can happen, but at least it's a together car. It's running, it's driving, you know, we shouldn't have to, we had already put disc brakes on the front of the car, that kind of stuff.
Are you and Jeremy being open and upfront about what you guys are doing to your cars, or is it kind of like a don't tell type thing?
No, we're pretty open about it. There's not any, I mean, I'm sure he's got secrets, and I'm sure when we cross some bridges, we're probably not going to divulge everything, you know? So
sure.
I don't know why I'm not getting this on my phone. Jeremy's hitting me up.
Does he need the link? Oh, there he is.
Okay. Cool.
All right, let's bring him on. There he is. Haven't seen you in a minute, buddy. What's up?
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. How's
I'm loving the content. I'm loving the Roadrunner.
Oh yeah,
little
man.
318 action.
Little 318 action. We're gonna send it to the moon, dude.
Yeah, great feeling. I'm excited to send our 318 to the moon.
Man.
Yeah, or Rod. One of the two. Something going to the moon.
I got to ask, what sparked the idea for this challenge, and why did you pick Jonny Mopar?
So honestly, I've kind of had it in the back of my head for the past like 3 years.
Okay.
But I was always on a ship, and I just never had the time to really commit to it. Couldn't really find anybody where I was living at the time, which was up near like the Fresno area, that would want to do it. And obviously, I've been following both of you guys here for a while. I've got that build behind me, which I don't know if you can see or not. That's been ongoing for a few years, as most of our builds are.
Yeah.
And I just remember Johnny talking about his super cheap Charger. You know how he got that for steel, and I was like, you know what? I think Johnny would probably be up for it. He's got a ton of cars. Yeah. He might want to do something like this.
Oh,
you were right. I was game.
Yep.
Okay, now, so the way I understand it, at first there was really no stakes, but when I was in Las Vegas with Johnny, he informed me that he's actually putting something on the line. Johnny, what are you throwing up there? Look at all those signatures. Amazing.
I know. That's a pretty sweet trophy. I don't know if you can see, but I got a 400 back here that would look great with that valve cover.
Yeah, just one? We only have one.
Just one. Just one. Hey, if you only have one, it's a good story, right? People ask me what's going on with this.
That's a good point.
That's funny. You got anything that you're putting up yet, or what? Or
yeah, we do. We're still collecting some signatures.
Okay, cool.
But, I might be able to show you right now. Keep in mind, we still have a few more signatures to get.
All right.
But just for some motivation.
By the way, Chris Field is going to come on around 8:30 or so.
Okay. Can you get him the link?
Yeah, I forwarded it to him.
Cool.
I know you guys said you had that valve cover for a long time, and I've had this for a long time too, but it's a 13-inch. Never really put it on a project. Just kind of been sitting on my wall as some art. So I figured we throw this up for stakes.
Oh,
wow. That's actually nice.
Just gotta,
yes.
Yeah, it's nice, but I got this for like $40 on Craigslist.
That's a deal.
Like 4 years ago. So it's been sitting on the wall. Obviously, there's some space here for some signatures. We got to get the rest of the team to endorse it.
Nice.
But if you can
red or
with the
orange?
318. What's that?
Is that red or orange?
It's orange. Go mango orange.
Nice.
Okay.
I was actually, that's one of the parts, as crazy as it sounds, as lame as it sounds. I got so excited when I found out they were repopping those. I was like, oh, thank God. Because they were, I mean, I was seeing them for like $150 to $300, like insane. But those are both really cool prizes. It's fun to have some fun things to put on the line. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
We did have a question from Desert Mopars. He says, where are you guys at with the budget spent? Are you both maxed out at 3,000 already? And how are the builds shaping up?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back to my video because I put everything in the video. That's the beauty of doing videos is you can go reference it. But if I remember right, I think we had about $500 left or so, somewhere in that neighborhood. And I haven't priced a carburetor, haven't put a carburetor up yet. And we're obviously going to go nitrous. We've been pretty open about that. So we've got the nitrous kit and the carburetor. And I don't think we need much more than that. Other than maybe rear tires, figuring out what we're going to do for rear tires.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and one thing too, just to clarify, we talked a bit about like safety type items and decided to exclude those. So like helmet, roll cage, the disc brake, the disc brakes expense that we had already put into our car. I mean, if you were to buy it new, it's probably $500 or so conversion kit. Used, maybe, I don't know, maybe $250 or so, but it would be a pretty significant cost, to our budget. But we decided to exclude safety items. So that was something that didn't hit the budget.
That's good.
Were you guys going with the Keelsey Hayes disc brake conversion up front?
No, that's A-body stuff. We don't screw around with A-body's junk. Just kidding. No, most of the disc brake kits that you get, the cheaper ones, they're actually A-body. So I'm actually going to talk about this in my next upcoming video, but I'll mention it here if anybody's interested. Most of the old school guys know this, but if you use 73 to 76 A-body disc brake cars, because DOT got more stringent right into 73, so they started putting disc brakes on a lot of the cars, like 318 cars and stuff, right? So the disc brake stuff uses big bolt, it's big bolt pattern, and it's also the bigger ball joints that the B-bodies use. So if you had like in the say 70s, 80s, and 90s, you can go to the junkyard, pull disc brakes off of an A-body, and then put it on a B-body. The only thing you had to do is you had to swap sides, because the calipers are up front, forward of the spindle, and all the brake lines are up front. And on a B-body, it's all in the back. So like your Kelsey Hayes for an A-body, it's in the back. It's kind of the more normal looking setup. So all those disc brake kits, the cheaper ones, they use A-body parts. So Chris had already had a bunch of, he had like leftover parts we assembled to put the disc brakes on that car. So it's nothing super light or wild, it's not like Wildwood stuff or anything. It's all factory heavy type stuff, but
okay,
good snobbing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that safety clause really, I think, is what's allowing this competition to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if you started adding up the cost of the safety items, like you said, brakes alone, right? And I know we had talked about the rear tires, which the rear tires were really going to put me over on the budget. I was trying to figure out, what can I do on Craigslist and whatnot, but they really do share like half safety, half performance. So
Right.
I liked when we talked about it, looking at what some BF Goodwrench tires for the rears, some standard 245s would cost was about $400 for the pair. So we decided to give ourselves a $400 credit towards the rear tires so that we could at least get those if needed. And if we go, more expensive for slicks, that difference is what gets taken out of the budget. So I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to help us, squeeze more out of this and feel a little safer going down the road too.
Are you guys allowed, like, let's just say you had some parts that you weren't going to use that you could sell to help pad the budget a little bit? Are you guys allowed to do that, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We got some nice rally rims that I like, but can totally go away with.
Yeah, they're going to have to go.
This is fun.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing a trend in these little challenges. So everybody out there with a channel or any type of presence on social media, don't be surprised if in the coming years you're just going to get challenged by all these people and you're going to have to go, oh, great.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It's gonna be fun. Like, you got to be ready for it. I wasn't ready for my challenge, and I had to go buy a car. So now I have this car, and
I think that first week you're thinking about it, right? And it really starts to process, okay, how would I do this? What would I do? And the more you think about doing it, just at least for us, like the more our excitement rose.
Yeah.
Right? The more pumped we got.
Yeah.
The more I started daydreaming about flying down the track and just throwing my hand out to wave to Johnny in the back there.
Oh, I'm driving backwards. He's in the front.
Low tire.
Yeah.
What is the actual date and location of this race?
I'll let Jeremy answer.
So, it's going to be Verona Drags.
Okay.
That's an 8-mile track. I'm completely foreign to an 8-mile track. I know Johnny's been there a few times, but honestly, that's right in the middle between us. So it kind of works out perfect. Started about like an hour trip for both me going north, Johnny going south. And it's relatively cheap, affordable, and their schedule is pretty good. They've got some open dates. So, we were looking for the 3-month deal. We haven't locked the date yet.
Okay.
But just looking at Verona's schedule, it looks like it's going to be the very end of June, maybe first week of July.
Yeah, they race. Hopefully, we're going to do it on a Friday night. I prefer to go Friday nights just because, it's more street cars. There's some slower cars there or average cars there. There's still some fast street cars, like there's Hellcats and stuff like that. But if you go Saturday, it's like real race cars, and you just look like you're standing still compared to all of those guys. So I prefer they do like a street drags on Friday nights usually. So, and then they usually race every other weekend. So it just kind of depends where that date lands, basically after our 3-month mark.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, let me know as soon as you guys have a date. I would love, I don't know if I can make it happen, but if I could fly down and witness this firsthand, I definitely would want to cover it. I think that would be fun. And it shouldn't be, flying to California isn't too bad. I think I can make that happen. But yeah, it would be fun. Yeah, it'd be fun to be down there.
well, I don't know if Jeremy wants to talk about it, but he kind of offered something at the track too, as far as, filming.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So, with 3 months leading up to this, right? I mean, Johnny and I are going to have a lot of time invested into our cars. David and I were sitting here talking about how many hours we think we're honestly going to have into the Dart. And we were kind of thinking somewhere just north of like 100 hours, right? We're going to have quite a bit of time in this. When you have a low budget, right, you got to compensate by putting a lot of time into it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But because of all that, we really want to enjoy that race day. So we're going to have a videographer for the day of the race.
Nice.
We're going to have someone following Johnny, someone following us. And then that way we don't really have to worry about the shooting, because if anybody's been trying to do, social media with the car realm, doing the work is one thing. That's hard enough.
Yeah.
And then when you've got to shoot the film, I mean, it definitely adds a lot of time to it. I struggle with that on the Barracuda back behind me. But, for us being able to relieve that off of our shoulders and have somebody else take care of it and know what angles to do and, what shots to catch, think it's going to allow us to really enjoy the race a lot more.
No, and you're going to get some amazing content from it.
Yeah.
You may have just saved me a trip down there because I'm not going to go down there and see a videographer and be like, oh, well, what the hell? Nobody's going to watch mine. That's funny. I'm glad you guys told me. I would have been bummed out.
So you're saying that was a mistake. We should have kept that a secret.
They got a whole crew there, and I roll in with my GoPro and my iPhone.
Oh, he just texted us. He actually canceled.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're pumped. We've been talking to a few people around here, just the San Diego area, even people like at work, and anybody that's remotely into vehicles. It doesn't even have to be cars.
I've had people at work constantly.
Yeah, they're extremely excited about this. People that aren't even into Mopars. David here, even though he's part of Sorta Stock Mopars, he's kind of a big Beamer guy.
Okay.
Don't give him,
just a little bit.
Don't give him too hard of a time for that. But even he and the rest of the folks that he's been talking to about it, they all kind of want to do something like this. This is fun, and it's
yeah. I'm kind of excited about it too, because even though we have to focus on this event and this build, I'm already kind of imagining where this can go. Because after this is done, I it's possible that somebody challenges one of us as like the person that's next, or maybe it's something that goes several cars. It's not just one car on another car, but and then we've got, if the duct tape drags ever happen too, that'd be kind of a cool thing. I mean, the cars are perfect. At least our car is perfect for duct tape drags, but it'd be kind of perfect to go hit duct tape afterwards, later in the year. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I realized just now that there's a lot of people that probably don't know what cars you guys are running. So Jonny, why don't you start off telling them about the car that you're going to be using for this competition, and then Jeremy, you guys can follow after.
All right. So we saw 66 Belvedere pop up it's a 4-door, has a Poly 318 in it, and it popped up. I can't remember the price it was asking. It was probably like $1,200 or something like that. So I just hit up the guys and I just said, hey, you guys down for us all pitching in $200 and buying this car for $1,000? And everybody was down. So the car was actually located over in Compton. So we went to Compton to go pick it up, drug it home. And then I think we only did like 2 club days where we actually worked on the car. So the whole plan was to build the car, take it to the drag strip, and then out of us, 5 guys basically, just play with the car, switching out, and then kind of doing an internal competition, maybe putting $50 up or $100 up a piece, and then whoever got best ET or whoever got best reaction time with the car, would get the pot or split the pot or whatever, But so we got 2 days of wrenching in on the car, which got us the disc brakes. We got the gas tank changed on it. Honestly, the car's a 2-barrel, but it was, I can't remember. Chris wanted to put nitrous on it right off the bat. And so he had this adapter plate that goes from a 4-barrel to a 2-barrel. It was probably designed to go the other way around, but he's going 4-barrel to 2-barrel. So that's what's on the car right now. And it actually runs. But we never got to the point where we put a nitrous plate on it yet or anything, but car runs fine. It's really low on horsepower, and it's probably got, who knows, 500,000 miles on it or something, but it runs like Christine. It's it feels like it's missing. It just shakes a lot, but it's still a fun car. It fires up, it runs, and it'll go down the road. So when we first started pitching this whole thing to the social media, I'll just say we didn't get any kind of flack as far as the value of our car was concerned. I don't know why, but Zero complaints.
I know. What? Yeah, what? I don't understand why you got any.
I had to make a video just talking about how we got it because so many people were like, "That's bullshit." That did not happen.
Crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened. But Johnny, before we Johnny, before we turn it over to Jeremy and hear about his car, the unrealistic price on it and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
What did you name the car?
Oh, Chris coined the name Dorothy. So we spell it Doorthy because it's a 4-door.
I love it. That's
and the 383. So check this out. We're assembling the 383, and I thought, man, because the car is tan, and I thought what would be really cool is gold Moroso valve covers on it, right? Thought, oh, this is badass. So I bought them. I bought them on eBay. They're on their way. And then out of left field down in San Diego, somebody posted up red Moroso valve covers. And I thought, oh, those are badass. Let me buy those. So I bought them. And I bought them for me. I didn't buy them for the car. But then Chris was like, dude, those are the rosy red slippers. You have to put those on Dorothy. And I'm like, because it's like, Wizard of Oz and stuff. And I'm like, okay, so it's getting red valve covers on it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that 383 does look pretty nice.
Yeah, it does. It's just ratty enough. I mean, it has like 3 different colors on it. It's black. It's got like, I think an orange harmonic balancer and a blue timing chain cover. I mean, it's just all like junk stuff thrown on the engine. And originally we were building it for the zip tie drags. So we didn't want it to look pretty. We didn't want it to look expensive. I mean, it really wasn't expensive, but part of doing the Hooptie challenge at the duct tape or zip tie drags is the car can't be worth more than $3,000. So the last thing you want is going to both the zip tie and duct tape drags. The last thing you want is for them to pop the hood and have like a beautiful, expensive looking engine under the hood, but then you get disqualified. So it's like you want to have, it has to look the look,
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, Jeremy, what are you running?
Okay, so we have got a 1968 Dodge Dart. It's a GT original 318 convertible. So I got this for a steal. And at the time, too, even when they told me the price, I still had some hesitation on it because where I work, I've got a junkyard that borders my work's fence. And they were always bringing in cars, 60s Thunderbirds, old D100 pickups. And they brought this giant car carrier in with a Volkswagen Bug and this Dart. And, of course, being a Mopar guy, immediately my neck snaps to the Dart. I think I was in the middle of a meeting when I saw him pull into, and I just had to stop what I was doing and take a look at it. But I went and talked to the guy. Originally, he wanted $2,500 for it. And even then, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. But I had to weigh how I was going to pitch that to my wife because, most of us already have some projects. So I had my 78 Trail Duster. Obviously, I got the Barracuda behind me. And at the time, the Trail Duster was still a massive project. But I was able to convince her this was going to be her car. And so she wanted the drop top. I'm not really a big convertible guy, to be honest. But, $2,500.
Yeah.
So naturally, that was what he started at. So I can't just pay him what he asked. I got to negotiate down.
Not
so
if you
I negotiated him down to $2,000. Yeah.
Chop him at the knees. Chop him at the knees.
$2,000 with a tow home. So he even towed it home from the junkyard.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
But there's definitely some stuff with it, right? It's got a lot of cancer. I had to go through the whole rebuilt title thing, which, for those of you that are listening that don't live in California, that's a nightmare here. It took me like 5 months to get the title in hand. And, nobody wants to go to the DMV, but we got it. So, like I said, it's got that 318, it's a little 904 trans and the toothpick rear end. And that's our starting point.
What's the plan for it? If you can say, and you want to talk.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a couple things I can say because they're kind of givens, especially given what we got. But that toothpick, that's going to be gone. Right, we would break that thing on the first hit. We're definitely sticking with the 318. We already did a compression test on it, and it was phenomenal. It's actually a lot better than I was expecting. I did a cold test on it. Was still getting in the 1-teens for PSI on all cylinders. And so we're going to run with it. Plus, it's a 318, but it's a 318 Magnum. So it's already got the roller cam, the roller drivetrain. It's got low compression, obviously, as all those ones do, but it's a good candidate. So we're sticking with that.
Fun. And a convertible, too. That's
the convertible makes this a little bit difficult, to be honest.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that.
Looking at Verona, when you have a convertible and you're running faster than 14 seconds, you have to have a main hoop.
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely going to have a main hoop. I got to confirm again what the speed requirement was for a full cage, but I said 14 seconds. That's the NHR rate for a convertible. I know Verona's an 8th mile, so I don't really speak 8th mile times. That's difficult for me. But whatever the 14-second equivalent in the 8th mile is, that's what requires the main hoop. So we're going to confirm all that. But, of course, that's safety, so it doesn't get taken out of the budget. And, we'll go from there. But we can have the top down, also known as off and uninstalled.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this Dart's going to have a life after this race.
Yeah, I mean, if it was a post car, maybe it didn't have any sentimental value, I might just go a little crazy with gutting. But this is a really nice car. I can't gut it to the point of no return.
Yeah, sure.
So we're definitely going to be able to flip it around and make it a nice, fun car afterwards.
Awesome. What kind of shape is the top in?
It's complete. It's got a couple tears in it. Sun faded. Everything in there is pretty bad on sun fade. It's been sitting out for a long time. But it'll have to get redone. I'd imagine to get it back to like a nice Cars and Coffee car, it would probably need 20, 25 grand.
Dude, my goal for going to a Cars and Coffee is to have the rattiest shit box there. That sounds the best. Like around here, these Cars and Coffee events, man, they're kind of hoity-toity, if you ask me. We have one. It's in Redmond, so like the area where Microsoft is. And it's like for exotic cars. And if you don't have an exotic car with a little horse
Redmond
on the side, huh?
Redmond Town Center?
Yes, Redmond Town Center.
Yeah, I used to volunteer there.
Oh, really?
We're both originally from Washington State, so
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about. They're pretty strict about who they let up there. Which, if it's an exotic, if it's red.
I got an economy car.
Yeah, there you go.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I had a Beamer that was pretty uncommon to be on the road still, and so because I helped out there and it was a unique car. And I actually got to meet a guy that had a Ferrari 250 GTO, and a LaFerrari was his wife's car.
Oh wow! I know. Yeah. I know. My buddy told me he went there with his 9-second Cobra Mustang caged. It's a badass street car, and they're like, "Get out of here!" And he's like, "What?" And he got all offended.
Yeah,
he's got like 30 grand into his engine. He thinks his car. I mean, it's a pretty badass car for a Mustang.
But it's just the rare factor.
Yeah. They're like, nah.
Mustang. At the end of the day, it's still a Mustang. It's not an Eleanor. Yeah.
Keep it moving, Mustang boy. He was not happy about it.
They were just worried about the crowds, if we're being honest, right?
Oh man, that's funny. All right, so 8th mile, Johnny, what are you expecting out of your guys' car?
Time wise?
Yeah, sure. Let's get a prediction.
Well, what's the equivalent to 14 seconds in the 8? It's like 9s.
Okay.
No, I honestly, I don't have any idea.
No idea.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a crapshoot. Like we don't even know. Hopefully, this 383 will run, and it'll break in okay. It's a flat tappet cam. So,
are you guys gonna? I want to see the weights on these cars. I would love to see weights. So if you guys can go to like a transfer station or something and just weigh in the cars, it would be cool to get like a tail of the tape. You know what I mean? That would be cool. Like this car weighs this much, has this. I don't know. I like the idea of that.
for our plans on the engine, because we can't give away too many secrets, but we've been talking about it a lot, and we're definitely expecting some good power numbers. But
Nice.
we want to go take it to a dyno and really see what it's laying down. So we plan to take it to a dyno, hopefully beginning of June, get some test hits in there so that we're ready to go for the actual race. But aside from the dyno, yeah, I've got a place near work where I can go get it weighed.
That's cool.
We're hoping
Johnny's
for
old.
sub 3.
Johnny's old school. Johnny's old school. I heard the way he dynos cars is he just uses his right foot and then measures the length of the patch and then assumes, oh yeah, that's 300 horsepower.
Yeah.
The one that slowly increases after the years. Like, yeah, that was a 500 horsepower 33 right there.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty pumped for this. I think that's going to be fun. I don't know, these little call out races. I'm really into them. I don't know. I think it brings a whole new dimension to fun, friendly competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Lights a fire under people. It's great for content. I mean, yeah, it's awesome. So good job, Jeremy, coming up with a great idea. Thankfully, you didn't call me out because that would have been a drive too. I can only afford one race in 5 years. So
we talked about this for a while before we really kind of decided we were going to move forward with it. And one of the things we had talked about is, well, right now this is just a head-to-head competition. You know, depending on how this goes, and I mean, so far, you know, it just started, but the feedback is great. So after this is done and it's wrapped up, and we're going to kind of sit down and talk about it. You know, for the next time, maybe it's a head-to-head, maybe it's a bracket style where we've got 10 cars participating.
I would like to run it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, I mean, we did duct tape drags last year, and dude, I just love that event. I mean, the whole vibe to it, like we just did Matt's too, right? Chris and I, and it's just different. Like, that is a higher level, very expensive, very fast cars. You know, it takes a lot of knowing what the hell you're doing to run that quick of a car. But when you go to the duct tape drags, or what used to be the zip tie drags, it's like the opposite end of the spectrum. It's average guys, blue collar guys that, you know, don't have huge budgets, and they're running a lot of junky cars out there, you know. And so I really enjoy that vibe. So I think if we can get something going where, who knows, maybe, you know, every 3 months after this build or something, every 3 months we have a meet, we get enough people interested, and like everybody brings their hoopties out and battles it out, you know, in some kind of venue. Because that's what's cool too about, like, if we could get like-minded people to kind of meet up at a given time, you know, because when you're just going on your own to the drag strip, you don't know what's going to be there. There might be guys that would love to go up against a car like yours, but, you know, there's no announcement like, hey, everybody, it's old school car day, or it's hoopty car day, or it's this, you know, it's just race. They're just racing. So it'd be nice to get sort of like a schedule going where these particular cars can come out, low budget cars could come out and compete, you know, and play around, and maybe have like trophies, you know, we hand out or something, you know. It'd be kind of cool.
I like where that's going, Johnny.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. How big was the crowd at duct tape?
It was pretty big. It's hard to compare to Matt's because it's just like at Tucson, it's everything is the drag racing. You know, you have the pits and drag racing. There's no car show, no vendors. It was pretty full. And as it turns out, there was a few content creators in there too, some YouTubers that I didn't even realize. I ended up talking to the guy that was parked next to me, and he's actually in Ramona. He's a Ford guy. I'm drawing a blank on his name now, but he was out there, pretty cool guy. And then there's a girl called Liv Scafaldi or something like that. She's got a Firebird with an LS motor in it. She was out there. So it's there's a lot of people. It's big. It's a big footprint, and there's a lot of ratty cars. Like some of them you're just like, wow, I'm surprised they let that thing on the track at all, you know?
Man, with as popular as shows like Street Outlaws are, and as popular as vehicles like Farm Truck are, I really think that there's a market here for these types of races. And there's probably, because it opens the door for so many other people, there may just be a future racing class for this low budget type stuff, which would be awesome if like they were all over the country and then maybe there was like a central event, like a championship, kind of like what they do for No Prep Kings or something, where it's like they travel around, that kind of thing, especially with content creators that could eventually monetize their channels and stuff and be able to afford that kind of thing. There may be a future in this type of racing. I don't know. I'm really intrigued with it.
The tough thing is it's almost like it's got to be bracket racing related, you know, which personally, when Paris used to have a racetrack, I raced a couple of times there. Like it was just everybody shows up, you just race, like test and tune type thing. People just race against each other. But a couple of times they're like, hey, we want to do bracket racing. They would get enough people to participate, and then they would do brackets. And man, like such a ton of fun. I had so much fun doing that. I was listening to John Wilburn yesterday talk about it, and he was saying that, you know, bracket racing is it was boring. And I don't know, maybe it is compared to other, you know, like real racing class type cars. But, you know, the nice thing about bracket racing is it's the big equalizer, because like any kind of racing, you know, everybody wants to be competitive. So everybody's always going to be pushing the envelope. And just like Street Outlaws, you know, you've got cars that are running 3 seconds now. And it's like, well, you know, and running, you know, for a time there, they went into pro mods and stuff. And it's like, well, it's not even it doesn't even resemble an old school car, because that's just what happens with competition. Everybody wants to win. And usually the guy with more money wins because he could do more exotic things. So, you know, in our case, the limiting factor is the money, right? It's the budget. Yeah. You got $3,000. Everything has to be within that $3,000 budget. So, you know, I can't go out and buy an 871 blower and throw it on the car and then just, you know, like blow everybody away. You know, it's sort of like there's only so much you can do with the amount of money that you have. So that's kind of the limiting factor, which is cool. And maybe coming up with something in the future, that'll be part of it, you know. But like the zip tie drags, that's kind of what they were doing. You know, the roadkill guys were doing that across the country, and it's very subjective. Obviously, I mean, you got to go if you ever have a chance to go to the duct tape drags, which is what it's called now, and it's only in Tucson. And I don't even know if they're doing it this year, but you got to go. I mean, it's Comedy Central when they judge the cars, because there'll be cars coming through that are obviously way more valuable than $3,000, and they'll just rip on them or laugh on them or not even stop and just tell them like, nope, keep going, you know. And then you get the really shitty cars, and they just start really ripping on it like, yeah, this is totally junk. You're in, you know. And it's That's a funny. Subjective call. So there's guys that, you know, you could be. You can make a car look like it's worth a lot less than it is, and maybe, you know, internally make it a very expensive engine and clean everybody's clock. And then plus there was cars that are kind of on the fence, and they throw it to the crowd. And if that guy's got a bunch of people in his corner cheering for him, they'll let it in, even though it's clearly not a $3,000 car, you know. So you gotta do something to keep people from just going in there and dominating everybody, because, you know. And then the tough thing about budget too is it, like LS turbo LS motors, it's very hard to compete money wise against a package like that, you know.
Yeah.
Especially if you're dealing with old school Mopars, it's not very plug and play for, you know, turbo setups.
Nitrous.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
I think there's two major things that make the budget races really what they are, right? And the first one is just watching people get creative. You know, all those old tricks that have been long forgotten because they just don't do that anymore with the ECUs and the dual overhead cams and all that stuff. And then the other aspect to it that makes it so exciting is the sheer send it factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Like you got $3,000 into it. If it blows up in a ball of flame, hopefully you're safe. But that's awesome.
Dude, my run, I hope that happens. Oh, man.
Like, honestly, if that third race, if I throw a piston all the way up in the atmosphere, I'm going up with double fists in the air because I gave it all it had and I found the limit. Never found the limit before.
The full send racing series.
Nice.
That's it.
You're afraid to.
It's the full send racing series. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Chris Fields in the house.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, buddy?
Chris.
Nothing much. Everybody can hear me. This is the first time I've used this setup.
Yeah. I can hear you just fine. So, Chris, how do you fit into this whole thing? Are you Johnny's like wingman? What's going on here?
Yeah, just spare
weapon,
spare parts. That's all. No, I don't know. I think I'm just the guy that helps put the pieces together, right? I mean, we don't got a bunch of junk laying around.
I did convince him to put $200 in to buy this thing, so he does own the car. He owns part of the car.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You're selling shares to this thing, Johnny?
Yeah, we went at 200. There's 5 of us. We went at $200 a piece. So It's Forrest, Chris, myself, Bob Rayburn, and Ed Black.
I see.
So, and then Chris has his shop car, which is also a 66 Belvedere, very similar to our car.
Extraordinarily similar, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen pictures of his Belvedere, but he's stolen parts off of our Dorothy to make his car nicer. Just so you know.
Doing you a favor for weight reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Mother Nature on our side.
Yeah. Ours is just chipping away slowly. By the time we race, I'll have lost like 30 pounds.
Chris, for those for the people in the chat that don't know who you are, what shop do you own? And I know you have some news about a company that you have acquired. Please inform the listeners about that.
Sure. So I own Motech Performance in Marietta, California. We do, a lot of Mopar stuff, but also muscle cars and hot rods and all of that. And last year in July, I bought Schumacher Creative Services, which makes all the motor mount swap setups and headers and that kind of thing. And I've just been building up inventory with that because unfortunately, Michael Schumacher, actually, I think it's pronounced Shoemaker, but I'm changing the way it's said because I like Schumacher better. He let it go for like 2 or 3 years and there was nothing. Mm-hmm. So I just been building it back up, trying to get some inventory and make all the stuff that people need.
Awesome. So we can set the rumors to I keep hearing other things. It's Motech. It's Chris Field. Nobody else.
That's it. I'm the only one that's running this thing into the ground. Nobody else.
There you go. I had to talk to a couple people about that. I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure I know the guy. The internet's a crazy place, but
yeah,
that's the done deal. So, I mean, for those of us that aren't in the business, it's got to be hard to acquire a company that has been, for lack of a better term, I guess, ran into the ground essentially. I mean, he kind of just let it go due to health with his family or some unfortunate circumstances. Was it hard getting it back off the ground?
Yeah, starting funny story. He even went so far as to sell his samples. Like I am missing samples, and Johnny actually bought the very last torque strap the guy ever had was his display piece.
Oh my God.
It was painted turquoise. And Johnny's like, oh, I got a turquoise one. And I'm like, you MF, like that's like, I have nothing. And so, yeah, it's been tough, not just, I have files like CAD files and stuff like that, but no physical products. And then, just the damage control with trying to make people realize that, it's back and it's, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm into Mopars and stuff like that, and I want to make all this stuff work. And even some people just don't want to hear it. I somewhat argued with a guy on the internet who said, well, if Schumacher was bought then they're no longer around, even if, it's the same stuff. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, it's the same stuff. I'm just a different guy.
That's funny. So it's going to be the same catalog, essentially, just under different ownership.
Yeah.
Cool. Are there plans to innovate some new products and stuff like that?
Yeah. Once I get a hold on some of this, getting the products back out there, then we're going to do that. We have a Gen 3 Hemi header that I have the prototype of that I need to do some test fitting on just to make sure that's all good to go. Awesome. We'll come out with that. And then there's a couple other products that I can talk about, like a replacement mount for, to replace like a biscuit mount on a B&E body with a spool. So it's got a bracket that bolts to the K member. Yeah. That's got bushings and a sleeve, instead of those biscuit mounts that separate, under a bunch of torque.
Awesome. And you're keeping the Desert Mopars in the chat asks, basically, are you keeping the name?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the website's the same. Okay. Engine-swaps.com. The name is, the guy's been around, or Schumacher has been around since 1992, doing all this stuff. So it'd be kind of foolish. There's a lot of name recognition. So I don't think it's a good idea to get rid of it.
Pretty well known locally in my area, in the Seattle area. That's where he was at. Yeah. Very cool, man. I'm really excited that we'll be getting those products back, because I've seen it all over the internet. It's, Schumacher's not around anymore. There's no more mounts. So people are looking elsewhere. And it's a good thing that you guys are back, because it's never a good thing when there's only, 2 or 3 companies offering mounts. And so I'm excited about that. So congratulations on the acquisition, dude.
Appreciate it.
I'm not going to lie, Chris. I happen to have some conversion mounts that I bought from Schumacher like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And, that time period when nothing was going out and everybody was freaking out because, they weren't able to get anything. I saw those prices rise and rise. And I'm going to sell mine. And as soon as I put them up for sale, I think you started producing again.
Oh, right. Yeah, missed your opportunity.
They're sitting on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah. I get calls all the time. People, like, they bought these mounts and they've been sitting on them for years. Like, I mean, I know all these projects take a long time, but the guy's like, I bought your mounts 14 years ago, but I lost the instructions.
Yeah. Well, plans change too, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Jed is asking, I need Gen 2 Hemi conversion mounts for a B body.
I got 30 sets in production right now. We should have them in about a month and a half.
Cool. Nice. Very nice. Chris, it's kind of funny. Where was it? I think it was Netflix. I forget what show it was. Yeah. And I'm like, I know that car. I know that guy.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, so that was Rust to Riches on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that show's what's that?
I watched that.
Yeah. I think we've all gotten a chuckle out of that show. But it's produced locally in Temecula.
Okay.
And I think the producer came by one day. There was a storyline they were trying to drum up, and he asked if they could use the shop as a filming location. And there was a storyline, they had built a car. Hey, believe it or not, all the stuff in Hollywood isn't real. It's pretty much all scripted, no matter what. So they had a storyline, they had a car they needed to sell. I was the buyer, but we couldn't come up with a deal, blah, blah, blah. So, I was their whore for the day. Can I say whore?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well, if it doesn't work,
that's how I feel today. Don't feel bad.
if it doesn't work out with
I haven't
Motech,
done 6 hours if you put to work. No, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Gotta do it.
If it doesn't work out with Motech, you can always get a job acting.
At least I get a high five when I leave.
Yeah, right on.
And Olive Garden, if I'm Olive Garden, so we're good.
There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
No, that's funny. I just remember watching the show because I get a kick out of some of those shows because they're so hilarious to me. Because I'm just like, gosh, how can they think they're fooling people? Like real car people see right through the BS, like right through.
Oh, yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I hate it.
But it's entertainment at the end of the day. And believe it or not, the ratings of that show are higher than the viewership is greater than like what Fast and Loud used to be, and that was a pretty popular show.
I can tell you exactly why the ratings are high on that show, but we'll leave that out.
I can give you 2 good reasons.
The indie builder.
Yeah. Good Lord.
She's actually very nice in person. One of the nicer
nice.
ones.
I saw her at SEMA, but I got cold feet. I didn't
She's very approachable. I mean, she actually
Damn it.
she has I know. Next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a nice lady. And she does work on cars and all of that. Yeah. She's not just a pretty face.
Yeah. No, I find entertainment in all those shows.
Yeah.
You have to understand, like, as a car guy, those shows really aren't for car guys, in my opinion. They're like for, people that like want to take a glimpse into what they think is the car business, I guess. Yeah. In the custom business.
It's the casual.
It gets people interested.
It does.
That's true.
Yeah.
It does. Some of the stuff I see on these shows, though, it's funny when that they didn't finish the car all the way and they're like trying to get the angles of the stuff that looks decent, and then you see like some shit that's unfinished, and you're, as a car guy, you're like, what is that? That to me is the funny part. Yeah, it's funny. Cars. Yeah, and then they're good side. But then they're selling them to these people, and you hear the numbers that they're throwing out, and you're like, oh, clearly this person, like, if they built that for me, I got questions. You know what I mean? I find it entertaining.
$50,000, but it has like $20,000 in parts.
Yeah. I know. Hey, we got a guy. What's up?
Oh, you got that, Chris? The Mopar Man 78.
Here
you go.
Oh yeah, early A body stuff. Yeah, we're gonna come out with it, but it's like. It seems like the product that I'm coming out with next is never what somebody needs. So I'm constantly playing catch up. But yeah, probably the early A-body stuff is honestly towards the end of the year.
That's got to be tough when a guy's exhausted all the inventory and you're building it back up and you got to get all that stuff manufactured. God, that's that's a process all in itself.
You were telling me about motor mounts too. When he had motor mount, like you actually had a bunch of left hand motor mounts and like no right hands or something like that, right?
Yeah, I did get some inventory, but it was mostly left hand brackets for some reason. There were like no right side brackets. I don't know why that happened that way. But it just kind of worked out. I don't know. Yeah. So when I was building all this stuff, I just go from like the most popular kits on down. And it seems like now that everything's kind of shifted, price wise, everything's so expensive, BE and even like later A bodies, all the guys are jumping to early A bodies, and like there's just a huge explosion for all that stuff. Everybody really wants it, which I'm not a big fan of the early A's, but they're popular. They really are.
They're still reasonable when you can find them. I know that I've seen a couple online where I was like, God, if I liked those cars enough, that's a pretty good deal right there.
They're also extremely lightweight, right? They're great for drag racing because they only weigh a fraction of the B body.
No kidding. I've seen a couple drag cars.
Looks like. Here's what it looks like when you win.
Yeah.
Hey, Bigfoots and Mopars was asking. He wants one set of 66 to 72 B body 383 400 mounts, which I that's the same as a 440, I believe. But he wants to run one solid and one polylock. The one set will do both the satellite and the RT. Oh, okay. I guess he's probably looking at the driver's side solid for one car and the polylock for the other car. And then he would like to also buy 2 transmission mount for the 66 to 72. So he said that he went on your website and you were out.
Yeah, I probably sold out of the polylocks for sure. I know I'm out of those.
Yeah.
Okay. If he types in his credit card information in the chat, I can zip one off to him, I'm sure.
Okay.
Just throw your social out there while you're at it.
Yeah, but if he shoots me an email, I can probably answer his question a little bit more thoroughly.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely, Mike Coffey. You go ahead and post your information up there, please. That's another guy that's been on TV quite a bit.
Yeah, he has.
That's funny.
He uses it for advertising to sell his cars.
Yeah. All right.
That 440 though, that Cornet, is it the 6-pack? That's pretty sweet. I mean, I saw that the barn find race right between him and that Challenger.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
That was pretty
epic. Got a lot of attention too.
Yeah, that was last year's Matt's. Chris Albrecht and I were there. Got to see that firsthand. It was so cool. I mean, they're slow compared to all the race cars, to real race cars, but they were fairly equal. And to see like a pretty stock 6-pack and a pretty stock Hemi go at it, but I think the Hemi just wasn't really tuned right either. So it might have been a closer race if it was.
Those cars basically just got running.
Yeah.
I mean, none of the bugs were worked out of them. In fact, Mike was power shifting this thing, and rat shit was coming out of the dash.
Yeah, that's right.
He got back to his parking spot. He's like, "Yeah, there's rat shit everywhere." It was so funny. Oh man, I was laughing. Yeah,
I feel like Mike drove that thing. I feel like Mike drove that thing with less of a give a shit than the other guy as well.
Well, it wasn't even Tony's car.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked to Tony about that. I was like, man, that's got to be pretty crazy. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm not trying to blow up a 6-figure car.
Yeah,
because it's not. That was another thing that was interesting about it. It's not like it was a Duster and a friggin' 73 Barracuda barn finds. You're talking about a 71 Hemi Challenger RT and a 70 Coronet RT 446-pack car. Both of them 4-speeds. Both of them numbers matching. Like, there was so much that was so cool about it. And when I posted my videos, there were so many people talking shit. I was like, really, can't just appreciate art?
Sorry.
No worries. But yeah, it was definitely a fun race. I did see a question in the chat that I thought would be interesting to answer. Because it definitely could go two different ways. First time listener, long time Mopar guy. Just curious what you guys would recommend as far as going bigger wheels and tires on a 69 Dart Swinger. It currently has the stock 14-inch 5x4 steel wheels on. I guess that from my perspective, I guess it would depend on what direction you're going with the car. But I know that most people would probably say convert it to a big bolt pattern. What do you guys have to say about that?
You're still limited on the small bolt pattern. I mean, they're great, especially when you're looking for that original look. You want 14s specifically. But if you're trying to go for a bigger tire combo,
I'm not going for looks.
You might have to convert. And I know they have the spacers as well as the the adapters, but I personally would never run those.
Is he talking about diameter? Is he talking about width? There's a couple caveats to that question.
Yeah. I mean, if I were him, I'd sell it and buy a B body, but no, I'm just kidding. Wind model. But yeah, you're at a huge disadvantage to put a big tire under that car. They don't have a huge wheel well to play with. So.
I couldn't even get a 255 on the back of mine without trimming the lip and possibly getting some offset hangers and stuff, or just inboarding them. There's definitely not a lot of room in those things. You're better off with a second gen Barracuda because they got the bigger wheel openings.
Yeah, they can fit huge wheels stock. I mean, the Dart obviously has got the body lip that comes over the wheel. Mm-hmm. Makes it difficult. You're either cutting that for a Hemi style or you're going inward. On my 69 Barracuda, I've got 275s, and I still have more than half an inch on both sides.
Oh, wow.
Now, I have a custom built axle for it, so I measured it exactly so that I had that room. But still, the custom axle I have is basically a B-body width. It's on Mustang wheels and fat tires.
Is it tub?
No, stock wheel wells.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy.
It fits pretty nicely, too, look-wise.
Jeremy, for the people that didn't catch the episode, I forget what episode it was that you came on, and you were telling us about your project, because you also sent in a listener story way back in the day. It's funny to say way back in the day. It's only a couple years, but tell the folks what your little passion project that's actually behind you is.
Yes, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm a big A-body guy, and I've got a 69 Plymouth Barracuda notchback, and the story behind that's pretty cool. It was my great-grandmother's car. A lot happened between then, and my father sold it in 89 because my mom didn't like the color. She puked in the front seat on their first date, and that stain is still on the carpet. And, I hunted it down and found it in 2014, and I was able to buy it back. And, had it been an original VA car, I probably would have tried to do something more OEM. I know my grandfather definitely would have wished I went OEM since that was his mom's car. But kind of went as far towards the other end of the spectrum as possible. So I've got a Crate Viper V10, T56 Magnum, and a Strange 60 for the car. Already got those parts. I'm just in that fabrication stage now.
Nice.
So I was trying to get that done before Hot August Nights last year, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
growing family, that's always difficult, and you know how life gets.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
I'm taking my time on it now, and honestly, one of the big things too that really helped me with the Barracuda, because I went a few months without touching it, as I think a lot of us do with our projects. But
sure.
This 3K drag challenge really sparks some motivation. I love the car, obviously, but just sometimes the work gets pretty overbearing. You'll get in the garage, ready to work. You'll stare at it. 30 minutes goes by, and then you just decide, okay, I'm not going to work on it tonight. Yeah. But this challenge here has definitely reignited that spark, and I've been able to put quite a few hours into it.
Awesome.
I like the idea of it just being low budget too. Not putting too big of a dent in your own personal finances, and kind of limiting how crazy you get with the build to some degree.
Limiting how crazy you get with the build. Are we talking about the same car, Johnny?
I'm just saying, we're not going to turn it into a tube chassis car or anything like that, and it's going to be a pretty basic build. So, and we're all very busy. So it's really hard. Like I said, I think we got, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but I think we only got 2 actual days of working on the car since we've owned it.
Pretty much.
We got a lot done because there was at least 3 or 4 of us on the car. But it's hard. So even out of this 3 months, I think we're going to be probably getting a lot of that work done in probably just a handful of days, where we can actually meet up and we're available and just bust ass on it.
I was referring to the Barracuda with the Viper engine, but
my bad.
I just let you go, Johnny. I was like, all right, well.
I thought we were talking about the Dart.
Oh, that's funny.
Yep. One thing about this challenge too that we haven't really talked about yet is that while this is a head-to-head challenge, because we do have team members, it's not just a solo thing. Johnny and myself going at it. We've got a lot of people helping us with these builds. So the challenge rules are it's the first to 3 wins.
Oh, okay.
And Johnny and I aren't going to be behind the driver's seat for every single pass. We're taking turns with team members.
That's interesting.
So that's that extra factor that is really going to be curious to watch. We'll see who has enough time behind the seat, who's prepared to handle the car, how many test passes do we get? We may not get any. So this should be really fun.
I'm just happy to get to you, nitrous.
So who are all the drivers?
He didn't say nitrous. He didn't say nitrous. You can forget that.
I was looking forward to the turbos, honestly.
Well, that's not out of the ballpark yet either. just stir up whatever you're thinking we're doing.
We're doing everything.
I see what Chris was trying to do there. I see. That's funny. So who are the other drivers for your guys' teams then?
You want to go first, Johnny?
Sure. So we got Bob Rayburn, who has never come out to participate. So I don't expect him to show up. Yeah. He put $200 in, and that was pretty much it. And then Forrest, he moved to Oklahoma, so he's kind of out. So it's Ed Black. So it's Ed Black, Chris, and myself, the three of us on this team.
Nice. And for us over at the Sorta Stock Mopar side, we've got my one and only old man, Jason Williams. He's going to be on our team. He's going to be flying down from Washington. He lives up there still. He's definitely been helping me out with the car. In fact, we've already got the car stripped down on the interior. Got to see all the Mother Nature lightning that we didn't want to see. And we've got
weight reduction.
Yeah, the weight reduction. We've got David Neighbors right here next to me, of course, who even though he's a big Beamer guy, I know that he knows how to handle a car. And so, plus he only weighs like $140, so weight reduction. So, and then obviously myself, and even though we're doing the first of three, we're hoping for that Friday night, and if we can get 6-7 passes in, we're going to keep having fun. We're going to be racing all night.
Oh, yeah.
The challenge, of course, is the first of three, but we're going to all try to take a turn going down it, just flooring it, seeing what it's got.
See how long it takes till we throw a run.
Yeah, it would be cool if 318 lives. But I'm definitely going to put that to the test.
That's why 318s are so fun, because it's like, all right, let's send it to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a 340, you think about it completely different nowadays.
Yeah.
I'm sure that used to be the case back in the 90s, but now if you mention the word 340 at a car show, you get people snapping their necks asking you if you're selling it.
God, can you some of these 340s that are out there for sale, it just blows my mind. Unless you're building a numbers matching build, and even then it's like, well, you're not going to have the numbers matching block, so it's like, why would you spend that much money? It's insane. I guess, like, for instance, there's I think it's a TA block that's local, and it's like in the teens. I was just like, damn, I would have to but I guess if you're building a car, then you want to get it as correct as possible, and I guess you're willing to spend that kind of money. But I'll take my $100 throwaway engines all day long over something like that.
Yeah, they're great. I had a 416 stroker. Obviously, it was based on a 340 and a Dart Swinger I used to drag race in. And I loved it. It's a great engine. But I was always worried that I was going to destroy it. You have a lot invested into it. And I ended up taking it out of the car, sold it, which was about 5 years ago. And I think I sold it for like $5,000. I had a complete running 416 stroker.
It's not a bad deal.
Fantastic nowadays, too. But I took a 360 that had been sitting in an old trail duster for like 8 years or 7 years. Just looked at the rods, made sure everything looked good, threw it in the car. And I had way more fun beating on that. Didn't really care if it blew. I just wanted to have fun than I did worrying about the 416. Didn't have the power, but still lit the rear wheels up, and that's really what you want.
Yep.
Nice. Coffee just made a good point. He said 360 is the same cost. Why mess with a 318? That's a great point, and that's why I may have made a deal on a $100 360. But that's for another day to talk about. Yeah, $5,000 to $6,000 for a 340 is insane. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I have about this race, because it's coming up pretty quick. Like when I think about Sykeston, I'm like, how many months? 5-6 months away, and you guys are talking about a 3-month challenge. That's pretty crazy. So you guys are seeing a lot of people are interested in this. You guys have been promoting it on your channels and stuff.
Well, I've posted a few videos on it. It's been good feedback. I can't say I've heard anybody locally, say anything about it. I don't know. There's a couple of car guys at work, but there's not I'm not amongst a big circle of car guys other than my friends that, they're on the team already. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
With the videographer, are you guys going to split up the content, or Jeremy, are you going to hog it all?
Yeah, we're going to split it. We want to make sure we both have a lot of fun.
Sure.
Now, I know, obviously, even with the videographer, like I'll still have my own shots that I'll take. I'm going to try to get, of course, GoPros on the cars, especially the aft-facing ones, and make sure that I'm getting some of the shots that I really want.
Angle it at the face.
The face, yeah.
Angle it at the face.
Yeah, if an angle is at my face, though,
not your face.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. But so I think we'll be neat to split. We may have some of the same. Like, obviously, the races there's 3 races that are really a part of the competition. So I'm sure both of us are going to have the same shots on the race itself. But, anyone that has ever gone to a drag strip, that day of the race, there's a ton of prep, right? You're doing all kinds of things. What are you going to do for the race? So that's where both Jonny and I, our channels are really going to defer. It's how are we, at least for that particular video, how are we getting our cars ready? What do we feel about our passes? What is our strategy to outwit the person next to us, right? What lane do we want? All that kind of stuff is really going to be fun. So while, say just for numbers, if we have a 20-minute video for this final showdown, we may only have 2 minutes that are the same. They're really going to be our independent videos.
Yeah, I think,
that's cool.
Usually when you edit, you kind of, I think even if we both had the same stock footage, the way we edited it and the way our perceptions are, it's probably going to look pretty different from each other, even if a lot of the footage is the same. And then plus, like, I'm planning on doing the same thing, is just putting GoPros on the car and just turning them on, as the car is getting up into the lanes, and kind of like Jeremy's talking about, you don't want to spend a whole bunch of your time trying to focus on how do I get a shot or how do I videotape this. It's like, let those guys handle all of that, but throw cameras on the car and let the cars catch, footage of the car on the other lane. And then when I'm not behind the wheel, I'd like to be up close to the line and get some footage from my phone as well, and then just kind of combine all of that stuff and then put it out there and see what it looks like, But I mean, I really hope, you never know with this stuff, but I really hope the cars come out really close to each other. And I hope like the variables between the drivers and stuff become, the factor. So like,
for sure.
I think it'd be awesome.
One race, one wins. One race, the other one wins.
Yeah, like something really close like that would be epic,
Yes.
So,
so are you guys, Jonny and Jeremy? Are you guys going to be the last race, or what? How's this going to work? Do you guys have it planned out yet?
We haven't.
We haven't planned it out yet.
John's a notorious sandbagger, so you gotta watch out for that.
One of the things I'm really excited about with having, obviously such a budget, it's what we can do to the suspension. Because you can throw as much power as you want, right? But you got to be able to control the power. That's really where the race is going to be won here. Because he's got a 3.3, we've got the 3.18. With I think what both Jonny and I are planning to do, and then all of us as a team, right? I think power-wise, we're going to be really close. I think it's really going to go down to handling and drivers. Handling as in like the suspension.
Yeah.
So
there's also gear ratios. There's gear ratios.
Yeah, someone's lucky and has a 456 pump in. That's pretty cool.
I learned about that yesterday, and I was not thrilled.
Yeah, not many stock cars come with a 456, and prices down here in San Diego are pretty crazy.
Man.
I shouldn't have said that in one of those videos, but I got such old videos of that.
You really shouldn't have.
No, it's good. We needed to know that. We got to compensate somehow.
Yeah, no, it definitely lit a fire. That lit a fire.
They've been doing some research.
We don't know.
Yeah,
suspension was something I wasn't even thinking about.
What was that, Chris?
I was thinking the suspension wasn't something we really thought about. I mean, we got clapped out 318 springs in the back of that Belvedere.
Like 2 of us.
Yeah. Well, yours weighs a little less than a day. So, something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that, looking at some of the forums and growing up and building cars, really before these giant Facebook groups and the big community online, some of the older school forums, I guess, like for A-bodies only. And, they're still pretty active now, but they've got some content from 25 years ago. I've gone to there for a lot of those tricks that are really forgotten nowadays. How do you stack the springs? Do you push them forward a little bit, you push them rear? Those right-hand torques on the Mopars, what can you do to make sure that squat's even? Stuff like that. They have a lot of that information, and you just got to dig for it. Sounds pretty cool.
I've definitely been looking for a bunch of stuff.
Cool.
It's just some kind of mind game.
We're the underdogs here.
It's just a mind game.
So let's just give them more information.
We're gonna show up with like a 10-pack leaf on the passenger side, and you'll be the one laughing.
Look underneath there, just look at the springs.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just see the giant shackles for us, right?
Yeah, solid off the passenger side.
Yeah. But, we've got all those cool tricks, and we're excited to use them.
Nice.
What I think Chris had asked this. He's like, so how do we know like their car's not going to show up with like no fenders on it, no door on it?
Yeah.
Luckily, Jeremy early on pretty much said it's got to retain its original exterior look. So you can replace parts with fiberglass parts, but you can't have like no fender on the car or no deck lid on the car or anything like that.
Yeah,
So,
we still want them to look like cars, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It still looks like a convertible.
Yeah, well,
It'll still look like a convertible without the money.
Yeah. He's gonna be missing a roof.
Yeah.
300
That's a convertible, so it came like that, right?
Yeah, no kidding. That's why I said, "Are you guys going to weigh them?" Because I'm curious.
Yeah, I know. I was
Dorothy's
really
not exactly light.
When I first heard it was a Belvedere, I thought, okay, sweet, we got the weight. And then I looked it up, and the '67 Belvedere, especially the one you have, is not the heaviest.
They look massive. I was like,
massive.
as soon as I saw what it looked like, I looked it up, just an image, and I was like, oh, we got this. I looked at the weight, and I was like,
But I think their curb weight is only like 3,400 pounds, maybe a little bit extra change. So you have in it. I mean, the 383 will weigh some more for sure.
Well, yeah, it'll weigh.
Yeah, it's going to be heavy. Yeah, darn it.
It's gonna be a case.
it's like 20 pounds. Metal.
No, the thing is we have a 4-door, so it's like extra glass, extra regulators. I mean, our car is going to be a little more on the heavy side, but as far as like 2-doors are concerned, those cars are really light. They are kind of like A-body territory cars, and as far as weight goes, they are much smaller. You might look them up on the internet, and they look like a big car, but when you see them in real life, they're a scrunched down B-body compared to their brethren that came around in 68, 69, and 70 and on. But yeah, we'll do some things. We got to put some safety seats in it that are probably a little bit lighter. Stuff like that.
I don't know. Johnny came to Las Vegas and he had fiberglass dust all over him. I was like, "What have you been doing, Johnny?" He's like, "Nothing."
The whole car is fiberglass now.
Oh, that's funny.
So let me ask you this. I don't know if you want to answer it or not, but are you going to go with a cage, or are you going to try to go without a cage?
No cage.
No cage.
Yeah, I'm not planning on it. Chris?
No, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the convertible kind of bites us, is the requirement for the cage, which, I mean, also drag racing and convertible.
We're losing the weight of the top, but we're also required to add the cage, so we're really not gaining anything from this.
Yeah,
at least from the top down.
So I mean,
it's all right. At least we'll be safe.
As long as it's safe.
Yeah.
If anyone's gonna roll it, it'll be me.
Oh,
what are you saying that for? You better knock out some wood.
God. Whoa. My God.
Everyone's gonna send it at the end.
Oh, I have to bless this guy before he gets in the car.
I had some miracle in my life. So,
Chris, from an outsider's perspective, what do you think about these challenges that have been going on between content creators and stuff online?
I think it's great. It just gets more people interested in all of this stuff. And I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how you guys self-promote yourselves like this. But it's cool. I always have, actually, I was telling Johnny about, you got to do like a triathlon of automotive stuff, where it's like, okay, you got to drive it to the drag strip, and then you got to beat on it and race it, and then you drive it to an autocross course and do that, and just like whatever it is, it's just like get people interested in this stuff. And it's neat to have the ability and the outlet to do it. It's a unique way to put yourself out there.
I would say in the realm of like developing the channels and trying to get to that content creator status, looking at the different platforms, YouTube is really difficult. It's I would say probably one of the more difficult ones that I've seen so far. Just recently opened up a TikTok just about a month ago, and I'm already surpassing my subscriber count on YouTube. It's been open for a year. It's just different demographics, and Granny and I were talking to that it seems that maybe a lot of people don't cross platforms. They like the platform. And
they definitely do not. I can speak firsthand to that.
So.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is a good example. Chris Albrecht is a good example of that because he's got enormous following on Facebook, and he just barely crossed the 500 requirement to go to the No Name Nationals yesterday. 500 subs. So,
in my defense, I really haven't gone all in on YouTube yet. So that's why I'm really happy about this Roadrunner, because it's going to create some good content for YouTube. So hopefully, hey, you can only put a podcast on so many places before people are like, hey, I already listened to it, on Spotify or something, so that kind of content. Because if the video views that I get on Facebook could transfer over to YouTube, then I'd be doing pretty well, I would imagine. I just need to get the subscribers up to about 1,000, or just get over 1,000. I got to get on Jonny Mopar's level. Then then we'll be having a good time.
I'm still pretty small, very small.
Yeah, as long as we're all having fun, though, right? I mean, obviously we're trying to develop it, but I think that the viewers too, they can see like when you're really having fun and you got that grin going ear to ear in your movie, right? Channel. Hey, that's what people really want to see. They want to see stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and I think like what's exciting about this, and even perhaps the No Name Nationals, is kind of like a pretty wide spectrum. From what I've seen, you've got you'll have like low budget cars, you got high budget cars, fast cars, slow cars. It's kind of a really big mix. But in general, in the hobby, we've seen, especially Mopars, just skyrocket in value. And like, if you're a young person trying to get into the hobby, it's very difficult to get into a hobby that is this expensive. So like doing something like this, or duct tape drags, or the lower budget stuff that's going on at No Name Nationals, kind of like your cart that you're building, I think it's nice to see that, hey, this can be done. It may not be easy. We don't have darts falling out of trees, for a couple of $1,000. You can't even hardly find 4-door Belvederes anymore. Those cars have been parted years ago, and they just don't exist, But
I don't recall seeing one on the road. So
what?
I said I don't recall seeing one on the road. So yeah.
Oddly enough, I saw one in Temecula, and it was the exact same color as ours, and it was a freaking 4-door. I couldn't believe it because I thought somebody was driving our car.
Someone stole our car. Call the cops.
Yeah. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
And was the Foster chicken?
It's always cool though when we come across a car that's like identical to yours,
Yeah. Well, it would have been awesome if we were driving it. But the Foster chicken is a Belvedere too, right? Isn't it a 66 Belvedere?
The Foster Farms.
Yeah, chickens. I think it is. I don't know if it's a Coronet or a Belvedere, but I think it's a Belvedere. You guys remember the Foster Farms chickens? Driving.
Oh, like the Muppet?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
It's like interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Let me see if I can pull it up. I can't remember now if it was a Coronet or a Belvedere, but I think it's a Belvedere.
Weren't they like Muppets, kind of?
Yeah,
for the commercial. Okay, yeah. I vaguely remember this. This is probably back from the '90s when Jonny was 38.
I like thoroughly remember
stuff like that, and the Chihuahua from Taco Bell.
Oh my, you get a Taco Bell.
Oh, I heard a guy talking about. This is Daryl Eves. He's a YouTube guy. I've been following him a lot lately, and he was talking about when he was younger, like liking old school commercials, like certain commercials. He goes, my favorite commercial of all time is the old Wendy's commercials where the old lady was saying, "Where's the beef?" You guys are probably too young for that, but
I'm way too young for that.
Oh, it's freaking awesome. That was my favorite commercial too.
Can you see that?
There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's a Belvedere.
Yeah.
That's our car, the Foster's Chicken car.
That's hilarious.
You gotta get that on the side, Foster Farms.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know someone looks at Greg and want to hook it up for the sponsorship for you guys.
That's funny.
They started the whole ratty muscle car thing. They were way ahead of their time.
That's
Didn't
verified.
even know it.
Sleeper car status.
The Foster Farms chicken.
You gotta get one. You gotta get one for your co-pilot in the passenger seat.
Oh, dude.
A chicken soup.
Actually, our grocery store. Our grocery store has one of those chickens. Like they have like this barn thing above the dairy section, and they have one of those Foster Farm chickens up there.
I want that.
Yeah. Can I borrow him?
Borrow it for the weekend. Yeah.
I'll give you your store a shout out or something
Yeah. That would be awesome.
for your mascot.
Yeah.
If they win, that's why they win.
So is this the costume costume party portion of the challenge?
That would be funny.
Yeah. I'll definitely wear a flame suit just in case.
We're just gonna crash test dummy for our passenger.
Yeah.
I've been
I don't know if
seeing,
we'll have a passenger seat.
He'll sit on.
I guess the exterior of the cars has to look legit, but the inside can be completely stripped, right?
Oh yeah,
That is correct. Yeah.
No floor panels because the rest. No.
We got some free ventilation.
That's funny. I've been seeing a couple of people in the chat talking about cheap cars that they have for sale. And I did want to mention, when we were talking about people and getting into Mopars and how Mopars are so expensive and whatnot, I think like people just need to lower their standards a little bit. I would love to have a Charger or Cuda, something crazy like that. But, you got to be realistic in today's market. So what do I have? I have a 73 Roadrunner, I don't know. I think you can still get into Mopars for a reasonable price.
Yeah,
if you just,
Yeah. In fact, you guys, if you guys look at Shade Tree Vintage Auto, that's Jeremy. We met him at the Mats. Remember, Chris? But go to that guy's channel, and he just posted 3 cars on there for $1,500 or 2 cars for $1,500. Look at that, a '67 Dart even. But he does some awesome videos.
72 Duster, 2,800.
There you go.
Not bad at all.
No. But he goes across the whole freaking country. He's always pulling cars out of like fields and, hordes and crazy stuff. But he's the guy you want to be hooked up with because he's the guy that finds stuff. Him and Mike Coffey are the 2 guys that find a bunch of stuff.
Well, it seems like Shade Tree, Jeremy, seems like he's got some reasonable prices. If you try to buy anything from Mike Coffey, you're going to be reaching a little deeper into those pockets.
I think that's really the only way you can do it nowadays, though. You've got to go find them where they're resting. If you see it on Facebook or Craigslist already, they've already been looking at evaluations and even what, I guess, it's all relative, but even what I would consider to be a reasonable amount, especially like for the Barracudas and Cudas, right? The 3rd gens, for like a 72 to 74, if it's a driver and it, you can't stick your hand through the quarter panel because of all the rust, I still think that should be like between $17,000 and $20,000.
Yeah.
But people are asking in the mid 30s for that. And I just, it's hard to imagine that.
Yeah.
That's capitalism right there.
Yeah.
Mike has a Dart for sale for $2,500.
I want commission for every single car that is sold on this live right now.
After this project, I'm actually considering something older, so wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, it'd be a good resource.
No, but honestly, to get into it,
for those of you that don't know about Shade Tree,
I have a buddy that builds neons, just Dodge neons, and I mean, he runs slicks. He has a strata swap in it. I mean, it's forged internals, and he really's not that much into it. It doesn't cost that much to get into racing. It just depends on what application you want to do, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean, those little neons from the '90s, they weigh nothing.
Yeah,
it's like $2,000. After
I've seen some people swap in the modern SRT4 swaps in those older neons, and for front wheel drive cars,
it's nuts.
Yeah.
before Johnny and I talked about the cars we have, I think initially we were kind of thinking you'd have to like go out and find the car at the start of it, but we just both happened to have cars that lined up perfect for this, so we went that direction. But initial thoughts, just when you're brainstorming, we thought, how cool would it be to have some sort of 80s Dodge that weighs 1,800 pounds and you just drop a 360 small block into? It doesn't even look like itself anymore because you can't fit the engine under the hood, but I feel like that would be pretty fun.
It ticks me off because I see posts online. One type of post I see that's really funny are these guys that post and say, hey, I'm looking for, insert rare B body here for $10,000. And they post it publicly. And I'm like, that's like the dumbest thing you could do, because as soon as someone says, I actually have a 69 Charger I'm selling for 10 grand. Guess what, dude? You're going to get outbid real quick. It's like, Jesus. But then you see guys like Jeremy from Shade Tree. If you guys haven't seen the videos he did on the epic horde that he got from New York, it is absolutely insane. The fact that they had to get a semi truck and do multiple loads out of that place. Absolutely insane. Crazy.
His comments have turned into a swap meet.
Hey, Chris. Chris Albrecht.
Which Chris? What's up?
You. This might be that thing you were talking about. Remember? In Messenger.
Yeah.
This might be your thing, dude.
This might be the thing.
You do a Saturday night swap meet or something.
Yeah.
No, honestly, you got guys trying to order parts from him, and then now we got people trying to sell their cars.
Yeah.
Way to do it. Got to connect, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. He has a page called the Mopar Picker. He should have been the Mopar Whore. That's what. Oh, Mike, that's hilarious.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just, every time I see, like, we know all these people that just keep pulling these crazy cars, and you see the people say, "Oh, there are none left." BS. They're still out there. You just gotta find them.
Well, yeah, there's cars people sitting in front of people's houses. You just leave a note. I mean,
yeah.
You do get crazy cars though.
My coffee, I bought a dark GTS from him, a 68 GTS 344 speed car. And if you have to remind me, Mike, if this is right, but I think the guy died, and it was a friend of his that was there to buy a Buick or something like that. And those cars were in the background. And what was it? I want to say it was the guy that died's brother that actually owned the Dart. But anyway, Coffee got the lead. He checked on it, and he pulled a few cars out of there. And I was able to pick up that Dart from him, which I never did anything with and sold. But, besides the point. That
sounds like such a Coffee discovery of a car in the background. That's funny.
Yeah, question for Mike. If you're listening, do you still have that slammed van?
Yes, he does.
I think I saw that while scrolling through Craigslist, and every time I see that, I'm like, that's clean. That's clean.
I believe it is for sale. It's been for sale for a couple years now. I kind of wanted it when I had some cash. I was like, God, that would be a badass van, but never panned out. He still got it though. It's a sweet van. I like that thing. Yep. If anybody has any Hooptie Build Off, go ahead and ask him in the chat. Jeremy said that he didn't mean to steer the chat. Dude, that's the fun part about these lives. I like when things get steered into that, realm of fun talk, like prices of project cars. I always find it interesting about, like, I don't know if I should give away Coffee's secret, but I will. He was telling me, to just, when you're looking at ads, it doesn't have to be a car ad. You might see, and he made a good point, because I've seen cars like this too. When you're like looking at, a marketplace or on Craigslist, they have real estate or not real estate, estate sales, like postings. And sometimes, you'll see things in the background and, have questions, and it never hurts to ask. My buddy sent me a picture of a 70 Coronet just sitting in this field, and I had forgotten about it. And I was talking to this guy about an 833 transmission that I'm trying to buy. And he mentioned that he would give me that and a bell housing if I could give him a lead on any 70B bodies. And I was like, actually, a couple years ago, my buddy sent me, because he's a garbage man as well, and he saw it on route or something like that, and sent me a picture of it. And I was like, oh shit, it's got the black tail stripe on it. I thought it was a Super B. So as it turns out, I tell this guy about this lead because he's like, I'll give you this stuff if you can find me a lead on this car. Now I think we have a different a B body is, and I told him, I gave him the address, and he went out there. And I guess the guy was pretty cool, but he wanted 14 grand for this thing. When the guy looked inside, it had standing water on the floor pan. And I guess it was pretty rotted. And the guy was like, I'd sell it for 14,000. And it's sitting in basically in a yard with tall grass and stuff. So it's probably pretty rotted.
So it's sort of rust.
Yeah. Especially if it's got standing water inside it.
That hurts.
14,000 sounds like a lot right now, but obviously that's all relative. 20 years down the road, all of our kids are like, Dad, you mean you could have bought that for less than 20? And you didn't?
When gas is $20 a gallon and we can't.
Well, I did tell him, I was like, well, hey, it's got standing water in it. That means that it's still got somewhat of a floor. I mean, if it didn't have a floor, that water wouldn't be there now, would it?
That's fair.
True.
Yeah.
What's the price then?
Two Hacks Garage is asking, can you guys use donated parts for your Hooptie builds? So the answer is yes, but we have to, like, almost all of our parts, actually all of our parts with the 383 were donated by friends. So donated parts we have to put on the channel and ask our viewers what they're worth. Like, what's the used part value of it? What would you pay for it at a swap meet? And then we average that out. And then you have to deduct that average from your budget. So you can take donated parts, but if it's too valuable, it could kill the budget. So
I want to talk about penalties too.
Yeah. One of the things that I think we don't really talked about is obviously we've identified the safety items as not being part of the budget count for obvious reasons. But we never really talked about the consumables. Your filters, your oils, your grease, all that kind of stuff. And while I tend to always kind of dismiss all that.
Those are kind of required to run.
Yeah, especially when you're looking at, obviously a challenge, it's only $3,000. I didn't realize with oils nowadays, you could spend $100 on just fluids, if not more.
Well, especially trying to get clean.
So, those are all the little things that we got to plan and look at. Like, okay, I could spend $300 for this part, but am I going to be able to get it in? Yeah, gaskets, everything like that.
And stuff. Gaskets are $100.
So it's pretty. We got to get creative with it, which is half the fun here.
Yeah,
part of selling parts of a car that we don't want to sell parts off of, and then got to track down later on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Chris Field? Do we give a pass on things like oil and filters and battery and stuff like that? I mean, I don't know. We have a battery already in our car.
I mean, there's no advantage. You're not going to gain an advantage by oil or whatever. I mean, it's.
I like the reading.
Yeah, you got to have that stuff to run. So you might as well put oil in it. It's probably good.
We're not running
Jeremy asked, in the budget, do you count how much you paid or how much it's worth?
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as parts.
So if we actually buy something for a purchase price, so for example, Jeremy actually bought his dart for $2,000, so that's the number. It's not what it's worth; it's what he paid for it. If it's donated, then we have to establish a price for it. So that's when we ask our viewers what they think it's worth. But if there was a part that we physically went and bought and then put it on our car, we would have to we would deduct the actual purchase price from the budget.
That makes sense. That could easily get away from you. That's why, like, you could get some pretty good deals if you look hard enough, which would make it really interesting. But,
Yeah, it kind of makes it a necessity. I mean, when Jeremy first pitched this, I was thinking, like, he's talking about being able to sell parts off of his car to, fatten up the budget so they can buy performance parts for the car. And that's where I was like imagining, like, no hood, no fenders, no grill, like, what could you sell off of it? I mean, there's only so much. I mean, like the wheels were your example. I could see that, but there's like only so much you can sell out of the car that might be worth something to give you enough budget to buy performance parts.
Yeah, you guys have that 318 poly, and it's a runner. So I feel like, regardless of for what it is, if it's a running V8, you've at least got a couple $100 and something like that.
Well, you would think, but since the day we bought that car, Chris Field has been trying to kill it with nitrous, and we're going to be meeting up at his place tomorrow to do a video on the car, and we're gonna do some burnouts in it with the poly, kind of get like a before. And I don't know if the car is going to survive. I don't know if the engine's going to survive. I don't know. Chris was talking about hanging out under the hood with the nitrous bottle and turning it on and over the carburetor and stuff. So we may not be able to sell it when we're done. Or get much
like a good send off.
Not that a 318 poly is worth anything.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much just give them away. I've never been able to sell.
I mean, the toothpick rear end, especially in a small bolt pattern.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. I'm still going to try to sell it for $100 if I can, right, to get some room in the budget. But that one may end up just being tossed in the trash or recycled for $20. We'll see what I can do with it.
Yeah.
Hey, $20.
You never know. I mean, stuff like that, like some guy just might need it just to put on his car to roll it around the yard or something,
or
too.
Restore, if he wants it completely restored in factory again.
Yeah, usually people already have the toothpicks, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or something better.
Well, I know, like my buddy Bob Rayburn, he's bought a couple of dusters from Mike, and one of them was pretty stripped down to the bone. So I think he ended up buying 2 8 1/4 from Mike later on, and he's going to make one good one out of it because 8 1/4 is a pretty good strong rear end. But the other one, it's sort of like he'd put it under the car just so he can move the car around,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's totally understandable. Yeah, those 8 1/4, they are pretty easy to find with Sure Grip in them too, right? We've been doing some research, figuring out what we're going to do. The Dakotas.
I don't know, but then the problem is I don't know how wide a Dakota is, so I don't know if you'd have to cut it down. I think they are pretty common in trucks. I don't know how easy it would be to take all those parts out if you had one for an A body and take the parts out of it, put it in that. But I think for like $100 you can get like a spool. They make those spools for them. Just never mind. You didn't hear that.
Yeah, get a welder.
Or that.
Does the welder count towards the budget, or is that that's a safety item?
We already
have to measure the amount of MIG wire we use. Yeah, we're excited because a lot of that stuff too. If I was building a car, and we'll take that example of welding a diff.
We wouldn't do that.
I really wouldn't do that ever.
Do that.
But with the budget in mind, this is my shot. If that's what we end up doing, and I say we can't get a Sure Grip or a posi unit, and we got that open differential staring at us. Oh yeah, for this challenge, we'll weld it up. See what we can handle.
It'd
be fun.
Well, we're the ratio we're running against, so we gotta do what we can.
Yeah, we got to do something to compete with those 456s.
I don't know how big it. I think it's going to work well with the 383 because the 383 is not as big a stroke as a 440. So I think that being an 1/8 mile.
That's the main thing. It's an 1/8 mile, so that should help a lot.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, without testing, I don't know how big of an advantage it really is. I mean, I remember when I raced my D100, I had 276 freeway peg leg gears in the thing, and I can't remember the time I ran. I think it was, let's say, like 10 seconds in the 8th mile, and I took the truck to my friend John. He lowered it for me, and he had an 8 3/4, so he swapped it out, put an 8 3/4 in it, and I bought a 355 Sure Grip from him, and that was in the truck. And I was so excited that the truck was going to go so much faster with the lower Sure Grip in it, and it ran exactly the same ET. I couldn't believe it. So it just depends.
Yeah, so I've actually never run at Verona. I've just been over there to look at it a few times, watch the races. And so obviously I got to get over there to get familiar with the track. That would, be stupid if I didn't. So I don't have a car right now that I can really do that in. Barracuda's down for a while. Dart's not going to be going anywhere. So I'm actually going to take my wife's Durango. Got a live event scheduled for next week. It's the 15th, I believe. Where another one of the Sorta Stock members has got a Model Y Tesla, and my wife's Durango's not slow. It's the RT. It's all-wheel drive, but 100 horsepower short than that Tesla. But we're going to put them up to head-to-head and see what happens. Mainly so I can get the exposure to the track, but I wouldn't mind racing an EV into the Durango. See what happens.
Hell yeah, you better win, dude. Don't give us Durango owners a bad name.
I'm gonna try.
I finally got to see it. Johnny and I both finally got to see a Tesla in action at Matt's, and let me tell you something. Those things are unbelievable. Like, I still hate them. Don't get me wrong.
The launch.
But damn.
Yeah, they take off.
Damn, they move. Ooh.
That's sport.
God, there's just nothing. Their sound.
I hate them. I hate EVs, but damn.
Yeah, I think they're cool, and I could see myself building an EV at one point.
Oh yeah, it'd be cool to have, but like, it's just I can't have the kind of fun that I like to have in them. I can't control the throttle like I want.
You don't feel them.
You can't drop a gear. You
don't feel them. You don't hear them.
Yeah, that one that was at Matt's, it was like, it put down a hell of a fast number. Because it was running against Hellcats and stuff.
Yeah. It was low nines.
Low nines? Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
In the quarter,
we're not talking about the same one.
It was so uneventful. I mean, it was like no noise, no wheels up, nothing.
Yeah. It was just insane seeing how fast that thing moved. The instant torque just gone. Like, man. And I've been saying it, when Dodge comes out with their EV muscle car or whatever, their EV muscle car, it better beat a Tesla. That's all I can say about that. I don't see how they could build one and not have it beat a Tesla. But then you're thinking those Teslas are so damn fast that Dodge is going to have to come out with it's got to be an 8-second car or something crazy, which would be fun. I mean, I probably would never own one, but as much as it didn't do anything for me, it still was kind of crazy to watch an electric car haul that much ass when you're looking at it sitting across from a fully built drag car or, a $70,000 supercharged Hellcat, 700 horsepower car, and you just watch it get walked. It's just like, my God. It's like a gigantic
R2 car.
I just wish maybe if they looked really, really cool, like maybe I'd give them a little bit more of a pass, but it's like a sedan, I'm like, a Charger looks better than the Tesla. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know.
Yeah.
When I was young and I thought
there's some cool kits for them, but they're really, really expensive.
When I was young and I thought about, the future being electric cars, I always imagined really cool spaceship looking, I grew up with, back when everybody thought that the Lamborghini Countach was like the most amazing exotic car ever. So as a kid, I always imagined that an electric car, in the future would be some crazy version of a Lamborghini Countach, giant wing, really low to the ground, really wide. And then the Tesla comes out and it's like, this is the baddest EV on the planet. This is disappointing at best. But
I've got some high hopes for Dodge. We'll see what they can come out with.
We'll see. I mean, they have a whole generation of people that are V8 or nothing, and if they have to be very careful with what they do. It better be the baddest EV ever built.
Yep.
The only thing I could say, they're going to have to come out with something that satisfies all the classic Mopar enthusiasts for us to even look at the car or even give the car okay, that's all right for an EV, I guess. You know what I mean? Because if they come out with some ugly, God, like Ford with that Mustang SUV, Jesus, that thing is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Good God Almighty!
Why would you do that? That's sacrilege.
Yeah, that was.
What a terrible marketing strategy.
It's a good thing we're Mopar people.
Yeah.
I like to give my Mustang friends shit and be like, "Hey, how about that SUV, huh?" Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
I don't know if those will ever make it into the budget drag races. Not for a long time.
Budget Teslas. Oh,
But you never know. Maybe people get pretty ingenuitive. They can get some lead acid batteries. Wire them up in parallel. Get enough amperage to really send you. So
the problem is they're hitting 1 million miles with very little wear and tear. So
there's not many components to them. So
it's all suspension wear and tear. That's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What a time.
All right, we're approaching 2 hours, so why don't we bring this show home and go ahead and give some final words. This is your moments and where we're going to be able to see the content for it and all that fun stuff.
All right, you want to go first, Jeremy?
Yeah. Yep. So, Jeremy Williams with the Sorta Stock Mopars team. We got Dave here as well. We've got a presence on TikTok on the Sorta Stock Mopars, as well as YouTube, of course. Really working on trying to grow the YouTube platform. We've also got a Facebook page. So those are the 3 locations where you can see our content, see our builds, spy on us. Go ahead, root with Team Small Block. Got a lot of underdogs, I'm sure, that are hoping we can do some magic here. And we're going to be posting on a regular basis here, trying to get at least something out on each, once per week at a minimum.
Awesome. Jonny.
Yeah, so from our end, Jonny Mopar on YouTube, that's going to be where all the content is going mainly. I do have a Facebook page, Jonny Mopar Garage. I will try to post stuff there, but I don't post there religiously. So if you don't want to miss anything, I suggest you go over to YouTube and see what we're doing, see what we're working on, and see what we're doing to the Belvedere to get it ready for the event.
And Chris, why don't you let everybody know once again where they can find all your fun stuff?
Sure. So Facebook, Motech Performance. I think it's actually SoCal Motech. We're on Instagram as well. And then Schumacher Creative Services. We're on Instagram and Facebook. Website is engine-swaps.com. And that's where you go to get all that good Mopar engine swap stuff.
Awesome. And as you all know, this is Talking Mopars. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if anybody's going to jump on over to Brian's live, but Brian from Dust Devil Garage is going to go live again, probably late into the night. I'll probably jump over there after this and just hang out. So thank you all for watching. Let's all place our bets on who we think is going to win this race. Yeah. I'll be holding the money, so you can go ahead and send that to me. It'll be in safe hands, I promise. That was Talking Mopars Saturday Night Live, the $3,000 Hooptie Challenge. All right, we'll see you guys later. No Mopar left behind.
See you guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Gene.
If you're a car enthusiast like me, then you'd probably enjoy the same books that I do. I love to gain more knowledge about Mopars and cars in general, and that's where my friends at CarTech Books come in. Since 1993, CarTech has become one of the leading publishers of automotive titles for hardcore enthusiasts, with a plethora of titles available in their catalog. They have titles for everyone, whether you're into restorations, high-performance builds, or automotive history. CarTech has it all. They are a company run by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Some of the titles I have in my own library are Chrysler's Motown Missile, Mopar's secret engineering program at the dawn of Pro Stock, new Hemi engines 2003 to present, how to rebuild, muscle car special editions, Chrysler TorqueFly A904 and A727 transmissions, how to rebuild. And look, folks, they have much more than that, and so do I. In my library, I also have books on how to vinyl wrap, modifying XJ Jeep Cherokees for back when I had one of those, and modifying the new Wranglers and Gladiators, and many more. So whether you're looking to expand your knowledge or just want something cooler to put on your coffee table, CarTech has the books for you. Visit cartechbooks.com and find some awesome books to add to your collection today. There you have it, my friends. Another episode of Talking Mopars is in the books. For everything you need to know about this show, you know where to go, talkingmopars.com. And you can reach me by emailing Chris at talkingmopars.com or by leaving me a voicemail on my voicemail box at 209-28-MOPAR. And you just might get to hear yourself on this show. So keep sharing those Mopar stories with me and anything else that is on your Mopar addicted mind. Thank you to my friends over at cartechbooks.com, and also don't forget how important it is to keep your Mopar protected from the elements. If you do need protection like a car cover, don't wait. Head on over to talkingmopars.com, click on the affiliates tab, and go get your Mopar covered today. Before we shut this podcast episode down, if you want some Talking Mopars merchandise like t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and cool swag like that, check out the merch shop on talkingmopars.com. And for exclusive bonus episodes and videos only for my supporters, become a Facebook supporter today and get immediate access to those benefits. That's it, my friends. Until we talk again, I am your host, Chris Albrecht, and that was Talking Mopars Live.
Thank you for listening to Talking Mopars, your direct connection to all things Mopar. Until next time, remember, no Mopar left behind.